I want you to just, for a second, picture the place where you feel the most safe. Maybe it's your childhood room,
Yeah.
or maybe it's just that feeling of sitting around the dinner table with the people who share your DNA.
The people who know your history.
Exactly. Now, what if you realize that that feeling of safety was, well, an illusion? That the dinner table wasn't a place of communion, but a place of extraction?
That is a terrifying thought to entertain. I mean, we're conditioned from birth to believe that blood is thicker than water, that family is the ultimate sanctuary.
But what happens when the sanctuary is actually the trap?
Mm.
That is the really uncomfortable, heavy door we are pushing open today. We're doing a deep dive into a text that, I have to say, pulls zero punches. It's called Undetected, No Face, No Case, Volume 3, Family is the Altar by Kandai Ali.
And we should warn you, this is not your standard how to deal with a toxic mother-in-law kind of advice.
Not at all. This goes way, way off the map of traditional psychology.
It really does. Ali isn't talking about, personality clashes or bad communication styles. The text frames these family conflicts as complex spiritual interference.
Okay, so what does that even mean?
It argues that betrayal by someone you love isn't just heartbreaking. It's what the author calls a ritual-level soul fracture.
A soul fracture.
Wow.
Wow, that is such a visceral image. It implies something breaking that you can't just fix with this simple apology.
It's meant to be visceral. So the mission of this deep dive is to try and understand a concept that honestly sounds almost impossible to believe at first.
Which is?
That the people who claim to love us, our parents, our siblings, our partners, can become unwilling participants in spiritual sabotage.
And that the family unit itself can function as an altar of energetic sacrifice. I'll be honest, when I first read that in the source material, I kind of recoiled. It sounds so dark, almost conspiratorial.
It is dark. But the text argues that if we don't look at the darkness, we can't protect our own light. So if you've ever felt drained or blocked or just strangely targeted by the very people who are supposed to be your safety net.
Then this text offers a framework, a kind of spiritual architecture to explain why.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's get into this architecture. Let's talk about the altar. Usually when I hear that word, I think of something holy, reverence.
Like a church or a temple.
Right. So why does Ali use it here?
It's being used in the in the sacrificial sense. Think of an altar as a designated space where something is offered up to feed a higher power, or in this case, maybe a lower one.
So the text is saying a dysfunctional family system is basically an energy harvesting machine.
That's the argument.
Yeah.
And for the machine to work, it needs fuel. It needs a sacrifice.
And the sacrifice is you, the listener.
Specifically your energy, your light. But here's the crucial part, and this is why family is so key. A stranger can't easily put you on that altar.
Why?
Because a stranger doesn't have the clearance codes to your psyche. Ali points out that family members hold energetic keys.
I love that phrase, energetic keys. Can we unpack that a little?
Well, think about it. Metaphorically speaking, they built the house you live in. They installed all the buttons. They know your genetic history, your childhood wounds, every single one of your shame triggers.
They have access to what the text calls your inner gates.
Exactly, which is why a nasty comment from some random person on the internet is annoying, sure, but the very same comment from your mom can ruin your entire month.
It's the access.
It is. And that access leads to what the source describes as double binding confusion. This is the mechanism that keeps a person paralyzed on that altar.
Okay, double binding confusion. What does that look like?
It's when you are being systematically harmed, but the person holding the knife is also saying, I love you, or I'm only doing this for your own good.
It's cognitive dissonance on steroids. Your gut is telling you danger, but your heart is saying family.
And your brain just short circuits. You start thinking, well, they can't be abusing me. They made me soup last week when I was sick. The text argues that this confusion is the altar. It's the structure that holds you down while your energy is extracted.
The source material lists some really specific ways this altar dynamic shows up, and they are painfully common. It talks about public shaming, for one.
Which is a massive violation of safety. When a parent shames a child in public, they're basically signaling to the tribe that this person is the designated target.
It's ritual humiliation disguised as discipline.
Exactly. Or think about rejection by siblings. The text uses this amazing phrase, karmic rivalries.
We usually just dismiss that as, kids being kids.
But Ali suggests these are often reenactments of really ancient, unresolved conflicts. If you're the black sheep or the scapegoat, you're not just unpopular, you are the designated vessel for the family's toxic shame.
So they can dump all their garbage onto you.
So they don't have to carry it themselves.
Yeah.
Yes. And then there's the cycle of love bomb and discard.
I usually associate that with, like, romantic narcissists.
But it's incredibly effective in families. They lift you up, give you praise, money, affection, just so the fall hurts more when they inevitably drop you.
That is diabolical.
It is. And the text emphasizes this isn't accidental. It creates that soul fracture because it completely bypasses your defenses. As Ollie writes, you don't wear armor in your own living room.
Wow. You don't wear armor in your own living room. That line really hit me because you shouldn't have to.
You shouldn't.
But this is where the text throws a curveball that I think is going to be hard for some people to swallow. We've been talking about this like it's some calculated evil plot. But the text says the people doing this, the parents, the siblings, might not even know they're doing it.
And this is the concept of willing yet unaware participants, and it's probably the most complex part of the whole argument.
It sounds like a contradiction. I mean, how can you be willing but also unaware?
Okay, think of a computer that's been infected with a virus. The computer is willingly executing the code. It's using its own battery, its own processor to send out all those spam emails.
But the computer itself has no idea it's doing it.
Right. It's just running the program it was given.
So in this metaphor, our family members are the infected computers.
Yes, they're conduits. They are just the hardware that this spiritual interference is traveling through. The text suggests they're probably energetically compromised themselves, maybe from their own childhood trauma.
Or what Ollie calls parasitic systems that have latched onto them.
Right. So when your dad suddenly flies into a rage for no apparent reason, or your sister makes that one comment that just destroys your confidence.
They're acting out a script. They're being activated.
A script. That's a perfect way to put it. And the source points out how generic the dialogue is. Have you ever noticed that toxic family members all tend to use the exact same phrases?
Oh my God, it's uncanny. It is like they were all reading from the same teleprompter.
The text lists the greatest hits. I didn't mean it.
You're too sensitive. That's the classic.
That was so long ago. Or my personal favorite, the deflection. Why do you always bring this up? Can't we just have a nice dinner?
I can feel my blood pressure rising just hearing those.
I know, right? But look at what those phrases actually do. They aren't communication, they're commands.
Commands to reset the system.
Yes, they're designed to deflect all accountability and force you right back into your role as the silent sacrifice.
Okay, so if they're just reading a script, does that mean they're innocent?
No. And the text is very firm on this. It's not about innocence, it's about unconscious consent.
Unconscious consent.
Ollie argues that at some deep, maybe spiritual level, these individuals gave permission to be used. They chose the path of least resistance. They chose to protect their own ego instead of facing their own truth.
So they might not be the source of the evil, but they're the open door.
They are the open door. They lack what the text calls spiritual sovereignty, and because they haven't done their own inner work, they become puppets. And unfortunately, the strings are being pulled by something that wants to feed on your energy.
Okay, so we've got the altar, we've got the conduits, but I'm still stuck on the why. Why would this even happen? Why would a soul agree to be born into a family that is basically a trap?
Well, this brings us to the psychic agreements. This is where the text moves from psychology into, full-blown metaphysics.
Okay.
The idea is that you didn't just wander into this family by accident. You're not a victim of bad luck. You are there on a mission.
A mission.
The text suggests that many souls agree to enter families with heavy karmic debt or spiritual sickness, specifically to end those cycles. You're the cleanup crew.
I see. So you're not the black sheep because you're bad.
Yeah.
You're the black sheep because you're the antibody. You're the cure that the virus is trying to kill.
That is a perfect analogy. And being the cure is dangerous. The text explains that your light, your healing, your awareness, even just your attempt to be happy, it triggers a violent reaction in the family system.
But why? You would think they'd be happy for you. Like, oh, look, she's doing well.
You would think. But remember, they're operating on shame and trauma. Your light acts like a mirror. It shows them everything they haven't fixed in themselves. It triggers envy. And the text says, dark forces whisper lies into their thoughts.
Look at her. She thinks she's better than us now. He's abandoned the family.
Exactly those things, those whispers manipulate them into attacking you. It is the spiritual version of the crab in the bucket mentality.
Right. If one crab tries to crawl out, the others pull it back down.
Not because they want to leave, but because they can't stand to see one escape.
And this isn't just about the people in the house right now. This is a generational web, isn't it? It goes back to Grandma, great-grandpa.
It's ancient. Ali describes these dynamics as inherited contracts pass like heirlooms.
That is such a powerful and sad image. Some families pass down fine china. Other families pass down a contract that says, in this family, we don't talk about feelings.
Or in this family, women are subservient. And the unspoken rule is that everyone must play their part. So if the contract says, we suffer in silence, and you go to therapy and start speaking up,
You've broken the contract. You're in breach.
and the penalty for breach of contract is the attack. But, and this is the empowering part, the text completely flips the script here. It says, truth, you were born to end that contract, not fulfill it.
I love that. So you're not a failed family member. You're a successful disruptor.
You are the cycle breaker. But the text warns us, being a disruptor hurts. It is painful to be the one rejecting the family heirloom, especially when that heirloom is the only way your family knows how to connect.
That's the tragedy, isn't it? If I stop playing the game, do I lose the family? And the answer is often.
Yes.
Or at least the version of the family you always wanted.
It's painful, but the alternative is staying on that altar forever.
Okay, so we know the mechanics, we know the history. Now we need the strategy. Because if you're listening to this and realizing, oh my God, I think I'm on the altar right now, you need to know how to get off. The text has a whole section on this.
How to navigate this. And step one is surprisingly simple, but it's also incredibly difficult. Recognition. You have to call it what it is.
So we have to stop gaslighting ourselves.
Yes, you have to start making excuses for them. You have to acknowledge, my mother is saying hurtful things because she is a conduit for generational trauma. Not, oh, she's just tired or she didn't really mean it.
It creates a little distance, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It stops it from feeling so personal.
It moves it from my mom hates me to my mom is infected. That is a crucial shift. And once you see it, you can move to what the text calls energetic removal.
This sounds a little like ghost busting.
Yeah.
What does energetic removal actually look like?
The text talks about sealing your field and consciously ending those shared agreements. It mentions soul retrieval, which is this idea of calling back the parts of your energy you've lost in these conflicts.
I think we've all felt that. You walk away from a family holiday, and you just feel like you left a chunk of your soul at the dinner table.
Yeah.
You feel hollow.
Drained, like a battery that's been short-circuited. So you visualize taking that energy back. You say, I am calling my power back from this interaction. But the most practical and probably most controversial part of the advice is about forgiveness.
Ah, yes. The distinction between strategic forgiveness and romantic forgiveness. This part blew my mind because society tells us forgiveness means hugging it out.
Right.
Reconciliation, Sunday dinner is back on.
And Ollie says, absolutely not. That is romantic forgiveness. That is the trap. That's how you end up right back on the altar, waiting for the knife to fall again.
Because the mechanism hasn't changed. The computer is still infected.
Exactly. So the text proposes strategic forgiveness.
Okay, walk us through that. How is it different?
Strategic forgiveness is for you, not for them. It's about releasing the resentment because carrying that poison just destroys your own immune system. You forgive them for being conduits. You forgive them for not having the strength you have. But, and this is the strategic part, you rigidly deny reentry.
I release the resentment, but I deny reentry. That is a tough line to walk.
It's the only way to survive. It's saying, I love you, I forgive you, and you cannot come to my house anymore. Or, I forgive you, and I will not be answering your phone calls on the weekend.
It's about protecting your sovereignty. If you let them back in without the dynamic changing, you've just signed the contract all over again.
You volunteered for the sacrifice. The text actually provides a specific affirmation for this, and I think it's worth reading. It really crystallizes this disruptor energy.
I have it right here. It says, I revoke all soul contracts that allow my energy to be harvested, manipulated, or silenced through the people I love.
Through the people I love. That's the key phrase right there. It acknowledges the love. We're not denying that we love these people.
But it puts the protection of your own soul above that attachment. It's heartbreaking and liberating all at the same time.
It is. It's admitting that love isn't always enough to make a relationship safe. It's a level of maturity that, frankly, many people spend a lifetime trying to reach.
You know, we have covered so much ground today. We've gone from the horror of the altar to the tragedy of the unaware conduits, and finally to the power of being a disruptor.
It really is a journey from victimhood to sovereignty. It changes the entire narrative. You're not a damaged person from a damaged family. You are a powerful warrior sent in to break a curse.
As we wrap this up, I want to highlight something from the final thoughts in the source text. Ali writes that when betrayal comes from those closest to you, it's not personal, It's positional.
Positional. I find that so helpful.
It means it's about where you stand in the spiritual ecosystem. You're at the center of a battleground.
And your light, your growth, your truth, it disturbs the shadows that your family members have gotten comfortable living in. You just turned on the lights in a room where everyone was sleeping.
And, of course, they're screaming at you.
Right. They're comfortable in the dark, and you're the rude one for flipping the switch. That disturbance is perceived as an attack. And the text warns us that sometimes that's all it takes for them to try and destroy you. And here's the kicker, the line that really chills me. They will try to destroy you with a smile.
Destroy you with a smile.
Ah.
That just captures that insidious, confusing nature of it all. It's not always a screaming match. Sometimes it's a passive-aggressive comment at Thanksgiving.
Or a gift that's actually a burden, an attack wrapped in a hug. It reminds us that we have to trust our intuition over their presentation. If it feels like an attack, even if they're smiling, it is an attack.
This has been a heavy one, but hopefully a really clarifying one. Before we go, I want to leave you with a provocative thought to chew on, drawn from the source's reflection prompts.
It's about that strategic forgiveness we talked about.
Right. We often hold on to anger because we think it's the only thing keeping us safe. We think, if I stop being angry, I'll get soft, and I'll let them hurt me again.
So the question to you is, can you find a way to put down the anger without opening the door?
What does strategic forgiveness actually look like for you right now? Is there a relationship where you are holding on to resentment because you're afraid that letting it go means you have to let them back into your life?
Can you release the poison while firmly and lovingly keeping the gates locked?
That is the challenge. Can you find peace without proximity? Thank you for going on this deep dive with us. Stay safe out there,
Stay sovereign.
and we'll catch you on the next one.